Guys, my name's Sam, I run Complete Commando. Our channel is all about gearing you up for the military life, military service, or a family member if they're looking to join. We've got loads of videos with different Q&As about military life, things to get you ready for training, fitness tips, fitness advice, nutrition advice and all that good stuff, and talk in depth about our careers within the Royal Marines and the military. So yeah, check out the channel if you want to know more. Today is all about the reasons I personally joined the Royal Marines, and hopefully it gives you a good insight as to some of the aspects and the good things about the Royal Marines and the military in general. And especially if you're a young person looking to join and you're not really sure what you want to do with your life, hopefully it gives you a little bit of direction. So any questions you've got, drop it in the comments box. You can also follow us on Instagram. If you're interested in joining the military, then why don't you check out our complete weekends. They're geared up to get you ready for military training alongside like-minded people who are ready to test themselves to their limits. So the backstory for me is I come from a sort of a military family. My dad was Army, my oldest brother's Royal Navy, Royal Navy PTI, and my youngest brother's RAF officer. I had granddads or grandparents who served in like World War II. We're quite proud family history of military service. So for me, I never had issues with, like, when I said to my parents I wanted to join. I didn't have like my mum saying, "Oh, like, don't join, it's dangerous" and all that. They were all like, "Go for it, 100%." So I was quite blessed in that regard. But also, I was I had less naivety about what military service entailed in terms of like going away, the sacrifice on family and stuff, because I'd seen my brother do it, and prior to that, my dad. But the main reason I sort of joined, so I always wanted to be a pro footballer. I was at Watford Centre of Excellence till I was 18. Didn't quite make it, and then I had trials to go to America on a football scholarship with a guy called Joe McLaughlin, who was an old Chelsea captain in like the 80s. Got through the trials, but because of financial restraints within the family at the time, I told my parents I didn't want to do it because I knew it put a lot of pressure on them, and so walked away from that. Sort of played semi-pro football and sort of fell out of love with it really. Started boxing. Found a new passion for that, and I think, like, I was working in the bookies at the time, and I just saw myself as a 19-year-old going flipping out. Like, one minute I'm like aiming to make it as a pro footballer, and next minute I'm sat in the bookies taking bets from people who, you know, betting away their life savings or whatever. And I just thought, like, what the heck has happened to my life here? So I said to my oldest brother, who was in the Navy obviously at the time and still is, you know, I'll join the Navy, like, just follow in your footsteps. And he just said, like, you're probably going to be bored, you know, physical guy and trained at like a good level and all that. Why don't you look at the Royal Marines? So I looked into the Marines, and I, you know, see the adverts of like 99.9% need not apply and all that, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to test myself to my limits. I felt like I'd failed. Like, I felt like I was a bit of a failure. My life was sort of like a bit crap, not how I envisioned at 19 years old. And so I applied for Royal Marines and trained my butt off for like a year. I was boxing, obviously. I was trained six days a week, sometimes twice a day, doing all my hill sprints, press-ups. I had so much internal motivation. All on my bedroom walls, I had quotes, like different Chad quotes at the time, and just spurring myself on. I didn't need anyone like spurring me on. Didn't know how to train. I didn't know really... Like, there was no guidance as to how to train. It was just like, I'm going to thrash myself every day. So I, you know, in hindsight, I look back, I could have trained so much better. But the one thing that I was doing is I was putting the work in. So I went to my PRMC, which is like a 2 or 3 day testing that you used to do at Limpston. It's now been replaced by like CPC. Did really well. Won like best recruit on that. And I was like, happy days. I'm set. I'm good to go. I'm going to smash it as a boot neck. Got to training. And it was a different story. Like, I was fit, always like sort of top 5 in different aspects, whether it be like yomping or camp circuits or you know, bottom field. I was always one of the fittest lads. However, I was absolutely freaking gash at admin. So I was just crap. I was quite mentally weak. I was a bit of a wimp with the cold weather. You know, I was a little footballer, and so I had a learning curve like that. I've never done any map reading before. Now all of a sudden I'm being expected to map read like 2 a.m. with no sleep, pee wet through, red light on a compass, and I'm like, freaking my head's absolutely gone here. So it was a really, it was baptism by fire. And I think that's the biggest thing to be really aware of when you join the military. It's like we can get hecked up on the physical elements, which are massive. And if you're not physically fit, you're going nowhere. But there's so much more to it than just like the physical element of training. You've got the mental side, you've got the resilience, you've got the learning curve, you've got the sleep deprivation, you've got the constant pressure on you and the stresses of the training team down your neck and all that. Meanwhile, all the people around you are dropping like flies. So you're making good friendships, and then that lad's gone. All of a sudden, you're sort of, 2 or 3 of your best mates within the military are gone. But yeah, like the reason I joined was for that. And I think it's really easy to say, like when you sat there watching Saving Private Ryan on your couch, like, oh, I want to do that. I want to prove myself. I want to test myself to my limits. I want to serve the country. But when you're actually going through those tough times, all of a sudden those romantic sort of fantasies you had of like being a hero on the front line, they start to dissolve into the background, while the pain, the scrutiny, the fear, the anxiety and all that of training takes over. And especially for anyone watching this who's in Lympstone or in military training right now and is doubting their decisions, that is exactly what military training is supposed to do. It's supposed to put you in that position where it's breaking you down, it's breaking all the nonsense from Civvy Street that you've built up in your life, the laziness, the easy, cushy life that you've created in Civvy Street. It's breaking all that junk down and then rebuilding you to be this, this person of integrity, this person of honour, this person of, dedication, hard work, cheerfulness in the face of adversity, all these sort of the ethos that they talk about and the characteristics of a military person. And in order to get to that point, you have to be broken down. You have to be put down and tested quite literally to your limits. And so that's one of the reasons I joined, or if not the reason I wanted to join, is to be tested to my limits. But actually the reality of that is a lot harder when you're actually faced with it. But the biggest thing I probably learned going through training is just, if you are resilient, if you refuse to quit, and if you just grizz it out, you can achieve it. You look at the people who have passed. Many people are surprised by people who pass like special forces selection. You look and you think, oh, that lad's an absolute machine. He's gonna smash it, and then doesn't smash it. And someone you think, oh, not sure about him, they'll go and pass. And it's all about how much you want it, how resilient you are, how willing are you to put yourself in the pain cave and just stay there and just grizz it out regardless of what comes. So that was one of the main reasons I joined. Alongside that, you've got the travel elements, traveling the world, been to places that most people will never go. Met guys who are like incredible people I learnt loads from. Obviously a few idiots along the way, like in any organisation, but few and far between, because they normally get weeded out in selection or recruit training. And yeah, did that, had new experiences, played new sports that I'd never played before, had opportunities to go around the country and different countries playing sport. And do you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. Just like what I'm doing now, and building a PT business as I have done, and complete Commando and the military prep weekends that we run, and the military programming. I would have only been able to get through the tough times and things like lockdown as a business owner through my experience, through those arduous times in military training that made me nice and resilient for the pressures of this life. So anyone who's sort of contemplating it and really isn't sure but wants to work on personal development, or you're in a similar position that I was in, where you feel like your life's not really going the way you wanted to go, then definitely check out military service. That even if you only do 4 years, that's 4 years in an elite organisation surrounded by elite people, learning and growing and testing yourself and pushing new limits and travelling and having all these experiences that you will not have in Civvy Street. So there's a little bit of an insight. I hope it was informative for you guys. If you want to know a little bit more, just DM me on Instagram at Complete Commando. If you want to jump on our fitness programs, we've helped thousands of people get ready for the military in the last 3 years, and we also run military prep weekends. So yeah, cool. Cheers guys, and have a good day.